Before guidance lit the deserts of Arabia, before the radiant light of Islam illuminated the hearts of humanity, there was darkness, a profound, all-encompassing darkness that permeated every aspect of life. It was a darkness of the mind, a darkness of the soul, a darkness that desperately yearned for the dawn. Yet, even in this darkness, Arabia was a land of movement and exchange. Caravans wound their way across the sands, linking the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean, carrying spices, silk, incense, and precious stones. Bustling markets sprang up at every oasis, alive with the sounds of barter and the mingling of languages from distant lands. Mecca, at the crossroads of these ancient trade routes, was more than a city of sand and stone. It was a vibrant hub where merchants, poets, and travelers from Byzantium, Persia, and beyond gathered, exchanging not only goods but ideas, stories, and beliefs. Before the Quran, the divine word of God resonated through the valleys and mountains. There was ignorance, an ignorance so deep, so pervasive that it blinded people to the truth, to justice, to compassion. It was an age where superstition reigned, where reason was silenced, and where the human spirit was shackled by the chains of misguided beliefs. But this was also an age of cultural richness. Poets were revered as the voice of their tribes, their verses echoing across the desert, preserving history, values, and honor. Oral tradition was the lifeblood of society, and gatherings to recite poetry were as important as any council of chiefs. Arabia's social fabric was woven from countless tribes, each with its own customs, laws, and fierce pride, yet the region was not isolated. Envoys and travelers from the Byzantine and Persian empires brought news of distant wars, new religions, and foreign customs, adding to the tapestry of Arabian life. This is the beginning of our story, the world before Islam. A world teetering on the brink of chaos, a society fractured by tribalism, and a people lost in the wilderness of their own making. Religious diversity flourished. Alongside the worship of idols, there were Jews, Christians, Zoroastrians, and those who clung to the ancient monotheism of Abraham. Rituals and festivals filled the calendar, each tribe honoring its own gods and traditions. Maps of the time would show a web of trade routes stretching from Yemen in the south to Syria in the north, from the Red Sea to the Persian Gulf. These routes brought not only wealth but also new ideas, technologies, and beliefs, shaping the destiny of Arabia. Arabia, before the birth of Islam, was a land of fire and sand, a harsh and unforgiving landscape that mirrored the harshness and unforgiving nature of the society that inhabited it. The scorching sun beat down upon the barren earth, and the winds carried tales of conflict and strife. Yet, in the heart of this land, Mecca stood as a sanctuary. Pilgrims from across Arabia journeyed to the Kaaba, seeking blessings and forging alliances. The city's annual fairs were legendary, drawing crowds for commerce, poetry contests, and spiritual rites. Untamed, divided, and steeped in tribal pride, each tribe fiercely guarded its territory, its customs, and its honor, often leading to endless cycles of violence and retribution. Loyalty to one's tribe was paramount, and the bonds of kinship were stronger than any sense of shared humanity. This period is known in Islamic history as Jahiliyyah, the age of ignorance, an era characterized by moral decay, social injustice, and spiritual emptiness. It was a time when the light of reason was dimmed and the darkness of superstition held sway. Imagine a night, deep in the desert. The stars twinkle like diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth, but their beauty is overshadowed by the anxieties of the night. Flames flicker, casting dancing shadows on the faces of tribal chiefs as they gather. Their expressions are grim, their voices low and urgent. The weight of responsibility and the burden of leadership rests heavily upon their shoulders. Chief Harith's voice cuts through the darkness. If they touch one of ours, if they dare to spill the blood of our kin, we burn their village. We will leave nothing but ashes and despair. Chief Salim answers, "It is our way. It has always been our way. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, blood for blood. This is the law of the desert, the only law that these people understand." A young man asked timidly, his voice barely a whisper, "But is there no place for peace? Is there no way to break this cycle of violence?" Chief Harith shouts, "Peace is for the weak. Peace is for those who cannot defend themselves. We are warriors, and we will not be humiliated." Each tribe was its own law, its own judge, jury, and executioner. There was no higher authority, no unifying force to bring them together. Honor was won by the sword, by the strength of one's arm and the sharpness of one's blade. Mercy was seen as weakness, a sign of vulnerability that would be exploited by one's enemies. Under the scorching sun of Mecca, throngs of people gather at the Kaaba, a sacred structure believed to have been built by Prophet Ibrahim. But instead of worshipping the one true God, they have filled it with idols of all shapes and sizes, each representing a different deity or spirit. A man at the market calls out, his voice hoarse from shouting, "Offer your sacrifices to Hubal, seek blessings from Lat and Uzza, appease the gods, and they will grant you prosperity and good fortune." A woman, her face etched with worry, places food before an idol, pleading, "O goddess, protect my children, keep them safe from harm, and grant them long and healthy lives." The Kaaba, once built by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail as a place of pure monotheistic worship, had been overtaken by idols, symbols of a society lost in polytheism and superstition. Over 360 false gods stood where once only one was worshipped, a testament to the spiritual decline that had befallen the Arabian Peninsula. But beyond the bustling markets and elaborate rituals, harsh realities haunted daily life. Poverty, inequality, and injustice were rampant, and the weak and vulnerable were often exploited and oppressed. Picture a father leading his young daughter into the vast, unforgiving desert. Her small hand clutches his, her eyes wide with trust and innocence. She doesn't understand the darkness that lurks in her father's heart. She asks, her voice filled with childlike wonder, "Where are we going, Baba? Is it a secret adventure?" He answers softly, his voice laced with a mixture of love and despair, "To the desert, to play. We're going to build a sandcastle, my little one." As he digs a hole in the sand, her smile slowly fades. She senses the tension in the air, the unspoken dread that hangs heavy between them. Some tribes, driven by poverty, shame, or fear, practiced female infanticide, burying their newborn daughters alive. A horrific act that symbolized the depths of their moral depravity. A world without divine guidance, a society devoid of compassion, had lost its mercy. The cries of the innocent went unheard, and the scales of justice were heavily tilted in favor of the powerful. But even in this darkest of times, even amidst the despair and injustice, hope survived. A flicker of light that refused to be extinguished. On a calm night, a lone man named Zayd ibn Amr sits beneath the stars, contemplating the mysteries of the universe. He is searching for meaning, for purpose, for a connection to something greater than himself. He whispers, his voice filled with anguish, "How can these lifeless stones give life? How can these mute idols answer my prayers? I reject these idols. I seek the way of Ibrahim, the way of the one true God." A handful of souls, known as the Hunafa, rejected the widespread idolatry and sought a return to the pure monotheism of Prophet Ibrahim. They believed in one unseen creator, the Lord of the universe. They waited with anticipation for a message, a prophet, to guide them out of the darkness. Then, in the year 570 CE, a beacon of hope was born, a light that would eventually illuminate the entire world. In Mecca, the bustling center of Arabia, a mother, Amina bint Wahb, cradles her newborn son, her heart filled with love and wonder. She smiles, her eyes sparkling with joy, and says, with a sense of profound destiny, "His name will be Muhammad, the praised one." Orphaned early, yet guided by divine providence, this boy would grow to become the final prophet of Islam, and his message would change the course of history. In a time of ignorance, the seeds of mercy were planted. In a world of injustice, the foundations of justice were prepared. The stage was set for a transformation that would reshape the world. The final prophet was born, and soon, the divine revelation, the Word of God, would descend from the heavens, bringing light to the darkness and guidance to the lost. Next time on Echoes of Islam, Episode 2, The Light Begins, The Early Life of Muhammad. Subscribe to continue the journey and witness the dawn of a new era.